Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Raquah Quadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to your brothers out there on the highways and byways that's noising this word abroad around the world. And I just want to get into this topic. It's going to be called the Do's and Don'ts, and it's going to be based upon the law, statutes, and commandments that the Most High gave to Moses to give on to the nation of Israel. Because contrary to belief, the Lord hadn't, given us commandments and laws for us to follow, and for us to, not only us to follow as a nation, but, he was going to set us up, if we obey these laws, statutes, commandments above all nations upon the face of the earth, to administer the laws, statutes, and commandments. And, and these laws are the commandments to govern on earth, That's to govern the earth, and that's how, to run the earth, you know what I mean? Just like, like a company, same scenario, You got the do's and don'ts, These laws, statutes, and commandments are the do's and don'ts, to govern the earth, So the Most High had set, these laws up, as order. And these laws are perfectionate. These laws are perfection. These laws are holy, sacred, These laws are sacred laws, statutes and commandments. These are not just some penal code laws that the so-called white men done set up, you know what I mean? These laws and statutes and commandments are sacred, and they're holy, and they're true, But with that, I know, even though I still got the Blue Letter Bible on my phone, and I'm actually still reading from my own Bible, and I just want to get into some, do's and don'ts, of the law, statutes, commandments. And the first one I want to address is, is the number one commandment that that the Most High, set up, And I'm just going to read it right here. And it says, and it's Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. It says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me," So like it. Now that is the number one commandment that the Most High set up, that thou shalt have no other gods before me, But quite frankly, we as Israelites, break this law continuously, And this is a very serious law right here. This is a very serious commandment. This is the number one commandment, the number one commandment, that the Most High set up. But, our people just willingly just break this law, And they just don't keep it, This is the number one do not do on the list, as the first law, statutes, and commandment that the Most High gave, the top 10 commandment, the top one. But quite frankly, our people just break this law continuously, They worship these idols, these idols on TV, You got your Lil Waynes, Jay-Z's, idolatry, They worship these people as gods, as if they could deliver them, Well, all they are is just a bunch of, big rapping, talking, niggas that just get paid for, rapping, And they get paid a lot of money for it. But that's because they already done sold their soul to Satan, you know what I mean? They done sold their soul to Satan to get those riches, to get that status, to get that recognition, as a god. But, it's a false, but they're false, It's all delusion. It's all wickedness. So it's all based upon the left-hand side. Because really what you should be doing, what our people should be doing, is worshiping the Lord our God, that brought us out of the land of Egypt, Because it says here in in Exodus chapter 2, in chapter 20, verse 2, "I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, and out of the house of bondage. You know what I mean? The Most High was the one that delivered us out of the, out of the hands of Pharaoh, out of that hard bondage that we was made, that we were serving, So, as a return of us, he wants us to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments and worship him, because we are his power, He is our power, He is our God, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, He is our power, because, he made that covenant. That covenant was made through Abraham and through Isaac and through Jacob, you know what I mean? So we have a connection to the Most High. We are connected to the Most High, We are married unto the Most High. So as us being married to the Most High, he's going to show us the do's and don'ts, Just like when you have your woman, you want to show her the do's and don'ts, There's certain laws, to dealing with your woman, and to governing the earth, and this is one of them, This is the law that the Lord has prescribed not for us to do, and that is, thou shalt have no other gods before me. But like I said, quite frankly, our people just break this law willingly, without any understanding. So I want to get into another law real quick. And this is a law, that we should do, that we must do, Alright, so this is the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 8. And it says, remember the Sabbath day and to keep it holy, Now, what is the Sabbath day? The Sabbath day is the day of rest, you know what I mean? So, and it's based upon the new moon, When the new moon comes in, and that's when the Sabbath, that's how you could correlate the Sabbath with the new moon, And it says, remember to keep it holy. Now, what does it mean by keeping it holy? I'm going to explain. I'm going to read on. It says, 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy sons, nor thy daughters, thy master, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, So it says that you should labor 6 days, but you have to rest on the seventh day, which is the Sabbath, That's a day of rest. That's a day of, that you just chill and rest, because it's a holy day. You got to keep it holy and sacred, because the number 7 is a very sacred number, So you labor 6 days, and rest on the seventh day, which is the Sabbath. That's the Sabbath, That's a do. That's what you must do, Now that's a do right there. You must do it. It's a commandment, from the Heavenly Father. And just want to get in. And I'm just going to read on, because, this correlates to how the earth was created, how, when we was in our angelic beings, with Yahushai, how we done created the earth, how the Most High gave us the blueprint to map out to create the earth, you know what I mean? So this is only going to the brothers that are in the truth, you know. To all you others, you know, this is just gonna fly over your head, you know. It's just too deep, you know. But I'm gonna get into it right here. Exodus 20:11, and it says, For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that dwell in them and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. You know? So, you know, the Lord, we rested on the seventh day, and he blessed it, you know? He blessed the seventh day, you know? So, this is a very sacred day, you know? And this is a must-do that the Most High prescribed to us to keep when he gave us the law, statutes, and commandments as a nation, you know? Through Moses. And I just want to get into another do too. Exodus 20:12. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee. You know? So this is a must do, you know. We must honor thy father and thy mother, you know. But quite frankly, in this society, we don't do that. We as a nation don't do that, you know. And that's why you see, you know, most of our people dropping dead left and right, you know. Because this is one of the main reasons. Because we're not following, or we're not obeying, you know, or honoring our father and our mother, you know. Mostly, you know, these kids grow up all crazy because there's no man in the house, you know what I mean? Because you need the father, you know. There should be a man in the house to govern the kids, you know, you know, by the mother, you know. But quite frankly, in this society, you know, the great majority of our peoples, you know, they don't have their fathers in the home. That's why they grow up all crazy and all out of control, like misfits, you know. That's why our people act like misfits, you know, act all crazy in the streets, you know. And that's why they be getting killed left and right, because, you know, the father is not there, and they're not honoring thy mother nor thy father, you know. Just a bunch of disrespectful. This is just a very disrespectful generation we live in, you know. And thanks to that whole feminist movement, you know, with the whole welfare system, you know, Esau done created this, and it done worked, you know. That they kicked the man out of the house, you know, in order for the woman, the wife, to get all these goodies and benefits, you know. That's why it says in the book of Ecclesiastes that a gift destroyeth the heart, you know. And it sure did. Because back in the 50s, you know, we still had a tight, you know, family, you know. The father was in the house, the mother stayed home and worked. The mother stayed home and took care of the kids, you know, sold clothes, you know, governed the house, while the man went out and worked and brought income, you know. But through the whole feminist movement and this whole women's liberation bullshit, you know what I mean, destroyed the household, you know. And the result of that, you know, you see the result of that today, you know. How, you know, a man not being in the home, you know what I mean, is just, you know, destructive for the children, you know. Now the kids are all out of control and all rude and disrespectful, you know. But back then it wasn't like that, though. But that's because of the greed and the evil of the so-called white man, you know. It's the so-called white man that's the problem, you know, because he's anti-law. He's anti, you know, these law, statutes, and commandments, you know. He doesn't keep not one of these commandments in the society. He done broken every law, statutes, commandments that's in this book, you know. He done broken every last one of them. And this is one of the laws right here in the 10 Commandments that thou shalt do, you know. That we must honor thy father and thy mother, that the days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God given thee, you know. But quite frankly, in this society, you know, this is not honored, you know. This is not respected. This law is constantly being broken every day, you know. So, we move on to verse We'll move on to verse Exodus chapter 13 verse chapter 20 verse 13. Thou shalt not kill, which which it should be thou shalt not murder. You know what I mean? Killing is a just cause. You could kill somebody, justly, That's just. That's what it means by the word kill. But it shall be thou shalt not murder. Murder is, when you're killing somebody without a just cause, when you just like when Cain rose up against Abel, when he murdered Abel, that's murder, That's without a just cause right there. You know what I mean? When Cain rose up and murdered, his brother Abel, that's murder. But killing is actually a just cause, Like if somebody, was to kill your mother, or, you have a right to kill them, that's a righteous act right there. That's a just cause. But it should be thou shalt not murder, And that's a don't, thou shalt not murder. You don't murder. You can't just murder somebody without a cause. You just can't. That's a no. That's something you just don't do. And thou shalt not commit adultery. First, Exodus chapter 20 verse 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery. What is adultery? Adultery is when a man sleeps with another man's wife, That's adultery, and that's a don't do, because that's the man's wife, That's a commandment that's constantly being broken in this society once again, We got a lot of adulterers in this society, adulterers and adulterers, in this society, And this is a law that's constantly being broken every single day, Every single day. This law is, this is something that's just being broken every single day. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse, That the Most High must come back to destroy the society and to set order, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And thou shalt not steal. This is another law that does, that's just being constantly broken, every day. A lot of thieves, stealing, It's not good, The society constantly, there's a lot of, people constantly stealing, stealing and taking things that doesn't belong to them, And this law is just constantly being broken, every day, So I just want to get into a couple of, the few of the don'ts, But I just want to really get into some of the do's, that you must do, governing the laws, statutes, and commandments. I could be here all day, pointing out, going through all these laws, statutes, and commandments that's written in this book, So I just want to get into real quick the dietary laws that's written in this book, What should we eat and what should we not eat? But I just want to get into the do's though. This is a do. This is what we can do, under these laws, statutes, and commandments. And it says, this is the book of Leviticus, chapter 11, verse 9. This is a dietary law that we must do. This is a do. And it says, these shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever haveth fangs and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. You know, that's talking about fish, you know, the fishes, because they have scales and fangs, you know. We could eat, you know, fish, you know, those are the things that we could eat. And this is a don't. And verse 10, and all that have not fangs and scales in the seas and in the rivers of all that moveth in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, thou shalt be an abomination unto you, you know. And that's going into the you know, your crabs, your lobsters, you know, scallops, you know, squid, you know, all these things that doesn't have scales, no fangs, you know what I mean? These shall ye not eat. But it's very popular, you know, the so-called white man, you know, promotes eating lobster, eating shrimp, you know, eating these clams, or, you know, these clams and all these, you know, scale and all these, you know, these different types of fish, you know what I mean? That doesn't have scales, no fangs, you know what I mean? So-called white man promotes eating them. And our people, you know, just love to eat these things, you know, without hesitation. And that's why they got all types of, you know, sicknesses and heart diseases and, you know, and all types of diseases, you know, because we're eating the wrong foods. We're eating things that thou, you know, that the Most High told us not to eat. And we constantly breaking these laws, you know. We're not eating the things, you know, that we must eat, you know, even though our people, you know, will eat fish, you know, once in a while, eat this, you know, eat fish and things like that. But overall, they love to eat that, you know, they love to eat these, you know, sea creatures like shrimp, crab, lobster, you know, all these, you know, these majority of these things, and they eat it as a delicacy, as if it's, you know, something good. But the Most High, you know, told us not to eat these things, because these things, these creatures, were designed to clean the earth. Well, was designed to clean the water, you know, keep the water clean, you know. That's why the Lord prescribed not for us to keep, you know, not for us to eat them, because they're designed to keep the water clean and to keep it, you know, nice and clean. These sea creatures are designed to keep the water clean. But the fishes, you know, we could eat, because they're clean, you know. We could eat fish, but our people just willingly just break this law, you know. They just eat, you know, the crabs and these lobsters and all these abominable, you know, sea creatures, you know. And that's why they get sick, you know, because they're not following this law right here. And there's another law too that our people love to eat, and that's that pork, you know. And that's pork. And it says right here in the book of Leviticus, the 11th chapter. Let me just get that. I'm just reading out of the Bible right here, but I'm going to get it on the screen for your brothers to see. All right, so this is the book of Leviticus, you know, the 11th chapter. The 11th chapter, and I'm going to read down to the to verse 8, and it's talking about the pig, you know. And this is the type of food that our people love to eat, you know, that pork, you know, which the Lord told us not to eat, you know. This is a don't. You know, the Lord told us not to eat pork, not to eat the flesh of the pig, you know, of the swine. But our people love to eat, you know. Our people love it, you know. They love that swine, you know. Like I said, that's why they come up with these high blood pressure, you know, and high cholesterol, you know. and all these heart diseases because our people are eating the wrong foods. Our people are eating which that the Most High told us not to eat. So this is the book of Leviticus, chapter 1, verse 1. I'm gonna start at 1, and it says, "And the Lord called unto Moses and spoke unto him out of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, If any man of you bring any offering," hold on, no, Salakia. It's Salakia. It's Leviticus 11 and 1. Yeah, Leviticus 11 and 1. Salakia. And it says, "And the Lord spoke unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall not eat among all the beasts that are on the earth." And it says, Leviticus 3, chapter 11, verse 3, "Whatsoever partneth the hoof and is clover-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts thou shalt eat, thou shall ye eat," which is, that's talking about the cow. We could eat beef, we could eat beef, chicken, and it's gonna say down into verse 4. But it says, "Nevertheless, ye shall not eat of them that cheweth the cud, or of them that divideth the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean unto you," which is going into that pig, which our people love to eat. And the conies, because he cheweth the cuff, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the herd, because he cheweth the cuff, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the swine, which is the pig, and the swine that divideth the hoof, and be clover-footed, he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean unto you. And of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcasses shall ye not touch. They are unclean unto you, And this pig, this swine, is our people just love to eat these things, you know what I mean? They just love to eat these swines, the pig, that's the number one thing our people love to eat, swine and pork, that pork, which the Most High told us not to eat, and this is a major don't, But our people just love to eat these things, eat these unclean animals, And you see Esau, Esau has nothing, It ain't nothing for Esau to touch a pig or to, you see on these TVs that Esau be grabbing these pigs and, doing all sorts of things with these pigs, you know what I mean? But us as a people, where we are not to touch these, dead carcasses of the pig, or neither shall we eat them, It's unclean, So these are the major things that we shall not eat as a people, but, quite frankly, the society promotes eating swines and eating, abominable foods, and things like that. So that's why the society got to be destroyed, But I just wanted to get into the major, some of the stuff, of the dietary laws on what to eat and what to not to eat, the do's and the don'ts, and the dietary laws and dietary law. But like I said, I could be here all day, pointing out the do's and the don'ts, all these laws, statutes, and commandments, that we must keep as a nation But I just wanted to get into some of the do's and don'ts, you brothers, you could get into this yourself, and look it up, But I just wanted to just bring this edifying, word, and bring this out, But with that, I just want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Raquah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to your brothers out there that's noising this road abroad and that's out there in the highways and byways. And with that, I want to say Shalom.